It's not that you're broke, it's that every month you go back to zero. You earn, you spend, and then you reset. Nothing is technically wrong. You have a job, money comes in consistently, somewhere between $62,000 and $78,000 a year. You've saved something, maybe $20,000 to $25,000, sitting in a high-yield account earning around 4.6%. On paper, that sounds responsible, but it's generating roughly $80 a month, and your life hasn't changed. You're doing what most people are told to do. You're stable, predictable, under control. You pay your bills on time, you avoid obvious mistakes, you stay within limits. From the outside, it looks disciplined, but it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like maintenance. Like you're moving just enough to stay in place, just enough to avoid falling behind, but never enough to actually get ahead. And there's a thought that shows up when things get quiet, usually at night, when there's nothing left to distract you. That this can't be it. That this pattern, repeated for years, leads somewhere very predictable. And that place doesn't look much different from where you are now. You start noticing small differences. Someone at work with a similar income but less financial pressure. Someone who isn't chasing overtime but doesn't seem concerned about money either. You hear conversations you used to ignore, words like cash flow, equity, leverage. At first, it sounds technical, then gradually it starts to sound structured. Not simple, but logical. Like there's a system operating in the background that you were never shown. The shift is not dramatic. You don't make a sudden move or announce anything. You just start paying attention. You begin learning in a more focused way, not casually scrolling, but actually trying to understand how money moves beyond a paycheck. Most of this happens quietly, late at night, early in the morning, in between everything else. There's no visible result for a while, and that part matters because it filters out most people. At times it feels slow. At times it feels unnecessary. You question whether it will actually lead anywhere, but you keep going, not because you're certain, but because you're no longer comfortable staying the same. Over time, the confusion starts to organize itself. You realize the issue was never your income. It was the direction of it. You weren't building anything. You were maintaining a position. Those are not the same. One compounds, one resets. And if you don't see the difference, you stay exactly where you are.
Eventually, you reach a point where learning alone isn't enough. You have to make a decision. Not impulsive, not based on hype, but with enough understanding to accept the risk without being controlled by it. You take your first step into an actual asset. Nothing dramatic happens. There's no immediate payoff, no moment where everything changes. The numbers are small, sometimes tighter than expected. A few costs show up that weren't in your initial assumptions. Some months are slightly negative, some are slightly positive. It's not impressive from the outside, and it doesn't look like success yet. But something internal shifts. You're no longer reacting to money. You're directing it. Your salary stops feeling like something you live on and starts functioning as input, something that can be allocated and converted. That changes how you look at everything else. Spending becomes a decision instead of a default, and most decisions become clearer. You start noticing patterns in your own behavior. Things you used to justify don't feel necessary anymore. Things you used to ignore start to matter. Not because you've become restrictive, but because you've become aware. And awareness changes how you operate without forcing it. Progress at this stage is not visible in a dramatic way. It builds in the background. Small improvements, small adjustments, better decisions over time. The important part is that you're no longer ending where you started. The cycle breaks, even if the movement is slow. There are still moments of doubt, times where it feels like progress is too small to matter. But when you zoom out, the direction is clear. And direction, over time, is what creates separation. After a while, you notice the difference. Not in a single moment, but in the absence of the feeling you used to have. You're not stuck in the same pattern anymore. You're moving forward, with structure, with intent. The numbers matter, but they're not the main change. The main change is how you think about money and what you expect it to do. It was never just about earning more. It was about building something that doesn't reset every month. Once you understand that, the path becomes clearer, even if it's not easier. If this shifted your perspective even slightly, that's the point. Most people never get exposed to this way of thinking, and without it, they stay in the same cycle indefinitely. If you want to understand how to move from earning to building, subscribe. That's what this channel is built around.